Governor Mike Huckabee. Governor, thank you for joining me. Good to see you as always.
Thank you very much, Jake.
So, Governor, when you heard Donald Trump make those comments about Megyn Kelly on Friday night, did you think he was referring to her nose and her ears, or did you think this was, as many of your fellow conservatives interpreted it, a sexist attack?
I simply didn't know. I knew that I would probably be asked to comment on Donald Trump all day. Sure enough, I was. And sure enough, I mostly just said, look, Donald Trump doesn't need me to help him get on television and get publicity. I'll focus on what Mike Huckabee stands for and my issues. And that's what I've continued to do.
How do you respond to people who say, boy, it really seems like Republicans are afraid of criticizing Donald Trump? Maybe they're afraid of him attacking them. Maybe it's because they want his voters. You do seem reluctant to criticize him.
It's not that. You know, I don't criticize any of the other candidates. I've got a job to do. Now, if I were still a pundit over at Fox News, as I was for 6.5 years, I'd weigh in on this all day long. But, you know, what I have to focus on is why I'm running for president. After being a governor 10.5 years, a lieutenant governor for 3, I got lots to talk about. And frankly, if I had $1 every time somebody mentioned Donald Trump to me, I'd have the best funded campaign in the entire Republican field right now.
You'd be the next Donald Trump. Well, let me ask you some follow-ups from Thursday's debate on issues that you do want to talk about. The next president should invoke the 5th Amendment of the Constitution guaranteeing due process and the 14th Amendment guaranteeing equal protection when it comes to protecting the unborn. At what point would President Huckabee, given his druthers, establish personhood? Would it be the moment of conception or would it be fetal viability? And once personhood has been established, how far in your view do you think the government should go to ensure these proposed constitutional protections?
Well, conception is the logical place to declare life because that's when 23 chromosomes from the mother and 23 from the father create that imprint of that individual in DNA that's going to last him or her the rest of one's life. Viability is an ever-moving target. What's viable now wasn't viable a few years ago. So I really want to focus on the fact that we've let this issue be about abortion. It's the wrong issue. The issue is about, do we believe that the unborn child is a human being? Because if we do, and if personhood is really the issue, then the 5th and 14th Amendment would automatically apply to that individual. And I really think we've missed it for a long time, and we've, talked about defunding Planned Parenthood. But, Jake, this is a bigger issue, and I think the Planned Parenthood videos kind of help put it in perspective. This is savagery. When people are selling baby parts, I mean, I just can't, deep in me, believe that any American can look at that, think about that very intently, and come away with the notion that that's really the mark of a civilized people.
President Obama is out there today aggressively pushing the Iran deal. One of his basic arguments is that the Chinese and the Russians and others were already ready to forego sanctions against Iran altogether. So this deal is the best deal they could get. What's your response? It doesn't seem as though he's wrong when he's analyzing the Russians and Chinese and their desire to lift the sanctions.
Yeah, the real shame is it used to be the United States was the leader. And when we decided we would do something, the other nations followed us. What we're seeing is the consequences of his philosophy of leading from behind, which in the case of the world events, it means we're getting left behind. That's why the president's entire foreign policy has been a dismal failure. And this is a very dangerous deal. I'm delighted to see that prominent Democrats like Chuck Schumer have come to the conclusion that it's a dangerous deal. He's made this decision, Schumer has, in the face of extraordinary pressure, and I got to hand it to him. I mean, this is a real act of statesmanship, not partisanship, on Schumer's behalf. But he's having to take this stand because the president doesn't seem to be able to find that kind of courage.
Governor Mike Huckabee, thank you so much. We'll see you out there on the campaign trail.